Welcome, Wastelanders, to the trip to the coast to end all trips to the coast. A trip so bleak that we might as well be taking it with Cormac McCarthy himself. We've watched a road movie before, right? Mad Max 2. But in this episode's movie, unlike Road Warrior, no one is pursuing our heroes from A to B. Just like in Fallout, there is no chase, no race against the enemies, but you're racing against your own reputation. And what we see here is that choices don't have to be Machiavellian or sinister. To be wrong, to hurt others, to leave some cannibalized victims locked up while you and the boy escape pretty clean, you know? In this episode, we're watching 2009's The Road.
Hello everyone and welcome to Pod Never Changes, a Fallout Movies podcast where we review movies that are a little bit like Fallout and then we decide how Fallout they are. I'm LJ, your host today, and I'm here with...
I am Ricky.
Hello Ricky, how you doing?
I've been better. I've watched less depressing movies.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But we've got The Road this week. However frequently we do this. But yeah, we've got The Road. We're basically going to be looking at it from a Fallout perspective, assessing how Fallout the movie actually is. I find it quite surprising, personally. But yeah, so we'll
I'm curious about what the surprise is if you didn't have that expectation.
Well, actually, let's talk a little bit about expectations. So, you know, post-apocalyptic film, dark, gritty, that kind of thing. So that was my general expectation. I just wasn't expecting very many points because I was kind of thinking it will be high-level genre stuff, and then that'll be about it.
Yeah,
but there's a little bit of detail in there that I found quite interesting. So yeah, it's The Road this week. We'll be basically going through a little bit about the film from a general perspective. We'll discuss our rating system, which is our great rating system. You'll explain the genius of that, a la the special rating system in Fallout. And then we'll go through, the film itself, pick it apart, assign points, etc. Look at the film from a general point of view as well, what we thought about it, outside of the Fallout aspect of it. And finally, a little bit about how we might mod Fallout to kind of reflect the room a little bit. But yeah, that's kind of what we're covering.
I'm looking forward to digging through this garbage can of bones with you.
Yeah, and eating mystery meat. Before we get into that, I just want to, each episode, give a little bit of insight into our Fallout history, our Fallout fandom, what we like, what we don't. I want to keep it a little bit on theme this week. So in Fallout New Vegas actually is when they introduced a kind of survival mode into the game. I think it was a hardcore mode. And then in Fallout 4, it was specifically called survival mode. They added features like restricting saves, so you could only save when you slept, no fast travel. They added hunger, thirst, sleep, deprivation, diseases and an immune system. All sorts of other little bits and pieces. So what I want to ask you was, if you were to bring back survival mode for the next Fallout, what would you add to what we already had with survival mode? How would you make it more realistic, more brutal, more hardcore survival? It's a tough one.
Gosh. Without spoiling it too much, with this movie, I'd probably... Oh, this kind of goes into something else, though.
You're thinking mods,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
It's
have you played the survival mode much generally? Like,
no.
Is it one that you go into?
It kicks my ass. It's like I find Fallout when I started playing,
to be a bit like a Dark Souls thing, right? And it's like people say about Dark Souls is that it beats your ass until you are finally OP, and then you squash the final boss.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like the same way. I feel like it's doubling down in survival mode of like, I'm never going to be OP. So it's kind of like a little reward at the end, right? For all of your hard work. And it's just like, that's not happening, I don't think, in survival mode for me. I don't get that far. I do die. I die on the road, you know? Like, and then
it's the not saving. It's the not saving that's a bit much, right? Especially with how buggy Fallout games can be. They can crash suddenly and just ruin an hours of gameplay.
It reminds me of like some of like the early Resident Evil games, where it's like ammo is very, very sparse. And then you go into an easier level and they start you off with a shotgun. I'm like, oh, this is great. I can just mow through everyone. Wonderful.
So you prefer mowing through?
Yeah, it's, you know what? It's I like to see progress in the game.
Okay, so let me tweak the question a little bit then, because rather than necessarily making survival mode harder or anything like that, what would you introduce to survival mode? Whether to make it a little easier, make it more difficult, more realistic, more fun. Is there anything that you could sprinkle in there to make it something that you would play?
You know what? Whenever you have encounters with people and you have things like diseases, I think basically every person you meet gets a disease. Every character, and you have to make the choice as to whether you interact with them and probably get it.
Excellent. So you can weaponize your diseases.
Yeah, like you can spot a guy, like, I'm trying to remember if they have diseases and stuff, if they make them up, like in like they have like ear snot in Fallout 76 and stuff. But it's like that thing of like, maybe you can visibly see what those are, and as you approach someone, you're like, man, I want to talk to this guy about something, but I know I'm going to contract something.
I think that kind of links into what I would add in a little. It's something I've been playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which is a kind of, when is it set? I don't know, like 1500s, 1600s, Bohemia. It's a very sort of realistic RPG. And in that game, if you don't bathe for a while, your character starts to smell. And then NPCs will actually comment on the fact that you smell when they interact with you. But also, if you're trying to sneak and someone's sleeping and you want to, stealth kill them while they're sleeping, if you stink too much, they'll wake up from your scent. So I just add like a realism element to that. So you either need to clean yourself or you've got a poop meter, and as you eat, you accumulate, and you need to let loose. And if you don't, there's going to be problems out of nowhere spontaneously.
I like the idea of a poop meter, because they try to do it's the Star Trek thing, right? Of they have everything on that show apart from toilets, right? And it's the same on here. Of
true.
If you can sit down and wait, to pass time for someone to do something or for an effect to wear off. You can sleep so you can recover and do the same thing. You kill some time to wait for an effect to wear off or somebody to come around, or you do something during the day. And it's just like, yeah, I guess you do eat.
Yeah.
And it
where
does.
it all go?
Yeah. Where does it all go?
Yeah, you'd have to make it fun, because otherwise it would be like, this is an insane level of granular realism that we do not need in this game. It just becomes life simulation after a while. But
I think my favorite Star Trek theory is that they use their beaming technology to beam the poops out of their guts to outside the ship.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, I never thought about that. All the toilets are inoperable in Fallout, so there's no water system.
Yeah.
Gross. All right, cool. All right, so this episode we've got 2009's The Road, directed by John Hillcoat. It's a post-apocalyptic survival film starring Viggo Mortensen, Cody Smith-McPhee, and Charlize Theron. Got a budget of $25 million. What do you think it made at the box office?
You said the budget was $25 million?
Yeah.
I don't think it would be too ambitious to make that back. Like in 2009. I'm going to say 40 million.
No, like a few of the films that we've covered, actually, it barely made its budget back, 27.6, which is, I don't know, it's kind of interesting because it's a very dark, gritty, depressing kind of movie just on the face of it as well. So I guess that can be off-putting to a general audience, but at the same time, I kind of associate late 2000s with somewhat a grittier approach to things being quite popular. Like, I think the Nolan Batman, series.
Have you watched a trailer for this though?
No, that's true.
It made it a little like well, it just seemed like they're having a tough time on the road, and then it's like the music's a little hopeful.
You're carrying the fire.
What fire?
Fire inside you. They're not gonna quit.
Yeah. I can see that being pivoting, like the perception of what it is to something that it's not really. Interesting, but yeah, so didn't do too well. I remember watching it fairly. I didn't watch it in the cinemas, but it was one, like I kind of have alluded to. Went through a sort of period of being into gritty, post-apocalyptic, edgy kind of stuff as a teenager. So it kind of, I dipped into it as part of that, I think. Fairly close to release time. But yeah, from a critical point of view, on Rotten Tomatoes, it's a 74% and a 68% on the popcorn meter.
Mm-hmm.
So generally positive, not like overwhelmingly so. A 7.2 on IMDb and a 3.7 on Letterboxd. That's out of 10 and out of 5, respectively. The movie itself is adapted from a Cormac McCarthy novel from 2006. He's also the author of No Country for Old Men as well, which the movie version of that came out around the same time as this. I think maybe 2007, if I remember correctly. One thing I found kind of interesting related to Fallout from a trivia point of view was just that some of the filming locations were included Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania, which are kind of prominent Fallout locations. Pittsburgh
for the pit
is the pit, and then Pennsylvania and generally just the Appalachia area. You've got Fallout 76 being set there. So yeah, it's got some already little Fallout tidbits just in where it was made.
So we're going to have a summary of this movie. But before we do, we're going to talk about how we're going to score the movie. So as LJ mentioned, we have something called the Great System. Kind of like how you're special. There's attributes and then there's numbers attached to them. So with Great, we are looking at the genre, the random specifics, the environment, the aesthetic, and the tribes. So the G is genre. It's the many direct or referenced Fallout genres, plot points and quests. So you're thinking of westerns, saving your family, apocalyptic end of the world, right? With R, we're looking at random specifics. So they're the super specific things that are just so Fallout, such as perks, dialogue, and gameplay and mechanisms. Think perks as well, right? These are things. E is environment. We're looking at the world building lore as well as locations. So wasteland, yes. Apocalypse, yes. A is aesthetic. We're looking at inventory items, clothing, sounds, gore, humor, things that we find here in these games. Think pre-war food, but also think country music and exploding bodies. And T is tribes. So these are the groups and individuals that populate the movie. Are they very specific groups? Do they look like raiders? Are they called raiders? Do they dress like, well, I guess dressing is more like aesthetic. But do we have a dog companion? These types of things. Do you recognize that robot? Those are the tribes. So again, we have genre, random specifics, environment, aesthetic, and tribes. And what we do is when we recap the movie and we see something that relates to one of these, they get a point. We have a cap at 6 points for each of these attributes, so you can get a total of 30 points for the whole movie. That's how we score it. After we score the movie, we also can debuff the movie. So we can give it a debuff. So if yes, we score very highly because this is quite a Fallout movie, but if there was something very specifically un-Fallout in it, we can give it a debuff. The example we're giving here is in Mad Max 2. We scored it, and then we said, yeah, but there's lots of car chasing, and there's no active cars in Fallout, apart from one very specific thing. But that's not very Fallout. So we gave it a -1, and that gave us our final score there. So genre, the random specifics, it's the environment, it's the aesthetics, and the tribes. Well, as we go through this, I'm sure you can pick it up. Feel free to score along at home. And if you'd like to share it with us, your score, podneverchanges@gmail.com. Why not?
I quite like the idea of just like this scoring system becoming this standardized scoring for Fallout-like films, and people just go out there and start scoring their own random Fallout films. You know, we can get feedback.
Yeah. What's your great score in Letterboxd for this movie? I'd like to see that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So The Road, 2009. We open with a glimpse at the past, how things were. We see Viggo Mortensen and Charlize Theron happy at home. They have horses. Their characters here are called Man and Woman. They never get names. In the credits, they are Man and Woman. Quickly, then we have Man waking at night. Something is happening outside. It looks like flames. We cut now to Man in the modern time. He is tired, haggard, he has a beard, he's sleeping in a cave with his young son, Boy. So we have Man, we have Woman, we have Boy. Boy is played by Cody Smith-McPhee. Now, straight off the bat here, the opening, it's kind of picket fence. It's very Fallout 4. Man, wife. In Fallout 4, you have the child Sean. Charlize Theron, I think, is pregnant in this movie at the start. It's like you're just waiting for the Vault Tech guy to show up to sell you a space in the vaults.
Yeah, exactly. And I think obviously that there'd be a bunch of films where you've got a suburban depiction of life, but given the fact this is a post-apocalyptic movie with a flashback to pre-war sequences that look like happy suburbia, that's very Fallout.
We never find out what this is, right? Like, all we know is there's flames outside. And I think later on there's earthquakes, so this might be an environmental disaster. It could be a chemical weapon. Who knows? But all we know is that it's the world is ending. It could be biblical, right? We don't know. But it starts off with the world is in flames. And then when we hit now back to the modern, the current time where it is Man and Boy, they look outside the cave and it's barren lands. There's trees without leaves. And we get a voiceover. Is this quite great, a voiceover, do you think? It's not a narrator. It's not narration.
Yeah, I've got it. I had it down, so I would include it.
Okay.
I think especially because the voiceover is specifically describing the wasteland and giving us an idea of what's going on there. So I think it feels very Fallout as a result.
It is, but it's also a bit like a captain's log, to go back to Star Trek again.
Yeah. Or log in like a holotape that you find in Fallout.
Well, true, yeah, that's true. Scattered around. They are following a road and referring to an old tattered map. They're going somewhere we don't really know yet, but I guess this is the road, is just the road. The voiceover tells us that there were refugees with carts, and then there were armed gangs with guns. They pass an old gas station, looking for stuff inside, don't really find anything. Is this Red Rocket?
I did make me think of that for sure. Yeah, so I'd put down scavenging as a random specific. Scavenging generally, but then in brackets I had gas station, so it was definitely giving me Red Rocket. Yeah, I'll note down Red Rocket as would that be a location? I guess environment.
I guess so. Yeah. It's an environment. Yeah. Okay. The voiceover mentions cannibalism briefly. As they continue their journey montage, we see lots of bones. We see useless now cash and jewelry scattered around the place. Again, is that a Fallout aesthetic? Pre-war money? Things like jewelry doesn't mean anything.
I think it's probably maybe a bit general for me, but I'm fine with putting it down and debating it.
Let's pop it down for now. We see them pushing their shopping cart around. They camp out and they wake in surrounding areas. There's suddenly a fire at night, which wasn't there before, and so they move on. What are we thinking so far?
So there's quite a few. There's I think in this film there's a lot of little things, and they're stacked in one area. I find. So where are we at the moment? We've just paused where they have seen.
They've seen.
Are they at the tunnel?
Not yet. No.
No. Okay. Fine.
All we've got
they've just
is
scavenged.
They're scavenging. They've passed a gas station. They camp out in the wild, and then there's a fire. They move on.
Okay, so yeah, up to that point, I had obviously, generally speaking, genre point of view, post-apocalyptic survival movie specifically. So that being a genre point, the voiceover, and then the destroyed trees reminded me of Fallout 4 specifically. And I didn't know where the film was shot until afterwards, but this kind of like Appalachia kind of thing, which is more 76, but I think is on that same side of the country. So yeah, it was giving me, because there was a noteworthy point, I think, in the development of Fallout 4 as well, that they went around and took photographs of these kind of like autumnal locations that had a lot of trees, and it's something that previous Fallout games didn't really have very much of, but actually would be quite a significant aesthetic in a post-apocalyptic world. Is like you've got a load of trees, they're all destroyed. So that was giving me Fallout 4 specifically.
There's a broad video game kind of, not trope, but kind of idea, I think, in that they're in this one area where the trees are kind of on fire, right? They're kind of barren, and they're these wildfires somehow, but it's freezing cold, but they're still wildfires. I don't know how this is happening. When they get to an area later, there are trees with, some green on them, but there's earthquakes, right? And it's kind of like different areas. You're going from one land to another, right? I kind of liked that concept. It's a bit Mario. And kind of you go from one world to another, or a little bit Sonic. I kind of just like the very specific problems or obstacles, right?
Yeah, I get what you mean. I it's kind of funny that I would never have thought of Sonic in relation to talking about this film.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean. Like there is definitely you could see a video game being set in this kind of location. It's quite a common like open world. It's a very almost by definition open world sandbox.
Yeah. So they continue on the road. They stop in a barn. They don't find anything. We see the previous occupants have hung themselves. Likely suicide due to starvation or fear.
It's not what you think. They committed suicide.
Why?
You know why.
This is the first time we see a boy interacting with another child, the child being dead, but the boy has some sort of thoughts about it. Man runs a suicide drill with boy, where they walk through using their last 2 bullets to blow their brains out. It's now a flashback to man and woman. Post-event, they are depressed but surviving. They have supplies, they have jerry cans of water, they have candles, they have detergent. Woman's water breaks, she gives birth. We're now back in the present. Man and boy are sleeping in an abandoned car, where they're woken by the sound of a loud truck coming their way out of a tunnel. This freaks man out. They rush to hide in a ditch as the truck emerges, which is loaded with ugly and scarred men with guns. I've got a note here. They're very Raider-looking men, but they're not wearing Raider outfits.
Yeah, I think there's an instinct in these kind of films to, as soon as you have a group that is roving the wasteland in some way and they're bad, to say that they're raiders. And my first instinct was raiders as well. obviously as we get to know them more and what they actually are about, I think they make more reference to other.
Well, they're cannibals, probably, right? Is
Yeah.
usually what they are.
Yeah. Yes.
That basically comes up of the biggest thing is they're cannibals.
Yeah, exactly.
They've got these very like rough, scarred, dirty faces that are very Raider, but then they're wearing like sweaters. So there was this kind of difference there, I think.
Yeah, and do you get the impression that they're the sort that are raiding as such? Maybe, right? But maybe they're more hunting than raiding.
I think they're probably they're probably hunting. They're prowling at the very least
for some food. Human food. I think there were a few little pieces dotted throughout here. I had the visual style of, cause, they go through some built up areas. There's a shot of a building. As they're kind of walking around with their trolley, that reminded me very much of the city ruins of Fallout 3, and generally just the overall aesthetic of the film from a color tone perspective and everything like that. The way the post-apocalypse is shown, the way the wasteland is shown, is very Fallout 3 to me. Not console Fallout 3, which was very green hue, but that more grey kind of palette of the ruined kind of cityscape.
Yeah, it's pretty grey. I made a note later when they're specifically going through the city. I guess it's going to be Pittsburgh. Of cities make me think of Fallout, even though I play a lot of Fallout 76. When I see the city, I think of Fallout. When I see the rural areas, I think less Fallout, which is odd.
Yeah, and then. I don't think I actually noted it down here, but the hanging people in the cabin, it reminds me just of a little bit of environmental storytelling that you get in Fallout, right? You arrive into a house and there's dead bodies that are positioned in such a way that tells you a little bit about what's gone on there. And then I also had the abandoned cars. This comes up later as well, a little bit more prominently, but the abandoned car aesthetic is very Fallout.
Yeah, they can hide in them, but they're not going anywhere. There's like these guys with their truck. It's like it seems to be the only one running. Cool.
Exactly.
So one of the gang members wanders off. He takes a pee in the ditch where Man and Boy are currently hiding. Man threatens and interrogates him by pointing his pistol at the guy while still hiding in the ditch. Man, the Raider type man, not Man, not the guy who's called Man. The Raider type guy, he grabs Boy, holds a knife to his throat. Man shoots the gang member, picks up Boy and runs. The gang here hears the gunshot. They give chase. They eventually give up. Man and Boy hide. And we find that Man and Boy are then cleaning the blood off of Boy's face, as he is clearly very traumatized by, having a gun shot and someone dying inches from his face.
It's kind of funny as you're reading this out. Like, normally we're so used to character names, it just sounds like you've not bothered finding out what the character names are.
they are like gang member, they're called those types of things, right? Cool. So they eventually make their way back to the cart, which was abandoned when they fled. Most of their possessions have been taken, but they salvage what's left, and then they continue back on the road. There's a pause here. Anything you want to discuss?
So I mentioned the revolver. Like, the revolver is already shown a few times, and this becomes prominent throughout the film. And there's more just like things that occur. I've got them down mainly in random specifics and aesthetics. So it's things like them setting up a camp, overnight, with the campfire and the bedding and the tents and stuff. That happens a few times throughout the film, or a couple of times throughout the film. So that reminded me of Fallout 4 and 76 in particular. And then just general, specifically survival mode. Everything is based on scavenging for food and sustenance and sleep. So they're very specifically tapping into the survival mode gameplay mechanics that we see. I think more explicitly than what we've seen in any other film so far. And yeah, I think that was it up until that point.
One quick question from me: do we count the boy as a companion?
No, I don't think so. I think they're both the protagonists.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wouldn't.
I was thinking of another video game, which was Resident Evil 4, where you have Leon, I think is the character, and he has to rescue Ashley. And yeah, Leon Kennedy, right? And then he has to rescue Ashley. And when you've rescued Ashley, you have to like escort her a lot. And all she does is go, Leon, help! And she's in the way, and you have to shoot all the zombies and monsters and not hit her. And I kind of felt like she's not much of a companion. She's part of the mission. And I felt like that was more what the boy was like, which is it's an escort mission, right? That's kind of what you were doing.
It also kind of reminds me of, have you played the new God of War games?
No.
They're very good, but they are very much father and a son, and yeah, the father is taking the son through this world. In that case, not a post-apocalyptic wasteland, and is teaching him how to survive and how to fight and excel. And the boy is kind of like the moral compass for his father. So it's a very similar kind of dynamic that it reminded me of.
Okay, we have a flashback to man and woman discussing what to do in the past. Woman thinks they're going to be raped, killed, and eaten, in that order, so they need to consider suicide. Woman resents man's not wanting to give up, and especially resents his not letting woman walk away and kill boy. It's now night in the present. Man is trying to explain that the guy they shot was a bad guy. And man and boy are good guys, and they are carrying the fire inside them. The boy questions if they are good or bad.
Karma system.
Karma system, yeah. I think that's not a bad one.
Yeah, I was just thinking because obviously, like, you know, good and bad morality is a bunch of different storytelling, right? But they so explicitly talk about it, it just made me think. You know, when the little pop-up comes up in the corner, it's like Boone disliked that,
yeah.
Or everyone disliked that.
Yeah, which one has like if you do something bad, it's the Vault Boy with the devil horns.
Yeah,
that kind of thing popping up from time to time.
I think that's Fallout 3 in New Vegas, maybe. Yeah.
So the next day, we're in an abandoned supermarket. Man pulls the last can of Coke out of a vending machine. Of course, boy has never seen one before in his life, and he says, "What is it?" Man says, "It's a treat for you."
Did this feel like a little bit of a Coke ad to you?
Maybe they got commercial or considerations from Coca-Cola.
Like, they don't feature the Coca-Cola prominently enough for it to really feel like product placement, but I feel like you could definitely cut this into an advert.
Yeah, well, he does. He goes, "It's a treat for you," because he doesn't know what it is. And boy drinks it, and he goes, "It's good." It's like,
I did
a little on the nose.
I did put that down as well, vending machine Coca-Cola. I think the combination of the two things feels very a specific aesthetic.
Yeah. Super duper. Is it a Super Duper Mart?
I was thinking that. Super Duper Mart. Yeah, let's put that down.
Cool. Okay, so then they're back on the road. I say this a lot. They're back on the road. There's an overpass that they're on. They find an abandoned truck and they rest inside it. The boy is having thoughts about dying to be with woman again. He doesn't really get how this upsets man. Of like, hey, maybe we should just die and we can be with mother again.
Yeah.
Man dreams about playing piano with woman. He then wakes and remembers how he had to chop up the piano with an axe, which upsets him. In the morning, he tosses away his wallet with a photo of woman. He leaves the wedding ring on the side of the road and recalls woman, leaving them in the night to go and die somewhere. Any thoughts on this part so far? I had a couple, right? So
okay.
when they were camping, and he was explaining why the guy's a bad guy. He's cleaning water, like he's building a makeshift filter to try and purify the water there. The overpass, for me, it makes me think of Fallout 4, where you are going on these high roads, and then suddenly it's like a cliff because it's broken, and then there's just something about abandoned trucks specifically that is so Fallout for me.
Yeah, no, definitely. Would that be aesthetic or random specific, the overpass?
I think...
Or environment?
I think environment, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering whether to mention the overpass, because I was like, okay, how much of this is just a product of it being an apocalypse that's in a cityscape kind of environment, urban environment? But I think it's worth mentioning anyway. I think there's a lot of those that are just that we've seen other wasteland films that don't have this. It really does. Apart from tone, it does feel like the world of Fallout.
How many like gunner camps are on overpasses?
Yeah, and even in Fallout 3 as well, you've got like what is the I can't remember what the name of the town is, but where the Blood Ties cannibal quest occurs. That's also on an overpass as well. Yeah. There's a lot of that.
So they stop off at a waterfall for a dip. This is the first time we see. I'm going to address him by the actor name, Viggo Mortensen Buttonballs. They move on to an old mansion and sneak inside. It appears empty, but lived in. There's a suspicious pile of shoes in the living room. They find a locked trapdoor in the kitchen, so they go and get an axe. Yeah. They go and get an axe from the garden shed, so they break the padlock off the trapdoor. This is where Boy notices in the garden cauldrons and chains and ropes with hooks. I've got a note here. Very Raider, very super mutant.
Yeah, exactly. This felt like right out of a Fallout quest, and yeah, like there's the super mutant bags of organs and things that you get, and there's a couple of quests that relate to cannibals as well, where you see the kind of bits and pieces in pots and pans and whatever, and these little environmental clues to suggest cannibals. So I've got down Cannibal House, like Andale in Fallout 3, which is a location where you discover that some cannibalism is going on.
So they break the lock off, they sneak down, they find emaciated but living naked people. Some are missing limbs. Everybody panics. Man and Boy run out of the basement. They move a table onto the trapdoor so the prisoners don't escape, because they don't know if they're attacking them. They don't know if they want freedom, but they're all freaking out.
Super creepy.
Yeah. The cannibal owners return to the home. Man and Boy run upstairs to hide. The prisoners start making noise and trying to escape. Man and Boy run out during the confusion. Man also seriously considers blowing Boy's brains out during this period again. It's becoming kind of common at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your thoughts up to this point in Cannibal House?
I think it's mainly what we'd mentioned. I think really just the visual aesthetics of an evidence of cannibalism going on. Like you mentioned, the super mutant bag of organs. We could almost go on a separate diatribe about cannibalism in Fallout, which we maybe can do, because there's a lot of references throughout Fallout. You've got cannibalism perks. You've got quests that relate to it. You've got environmental storytelling that relates to it. So there's a lot going on there.
I have one note here. When they're sneaking out of the house or trying to sneak out, there's not really stealth missions that often, are there, in Fallout? And I think stealth is often just a choice.
Yeah.
You don't have to sneak out. You can just bludgeon people to death or shoot them, right? That's often the option. Or you can just try and run.
Yeah. Shall I have sneaking down here?
I guess, yeah.
It pops up a few times because I think I thought this as well at the beginning when they come across the...
You get perks. You get sneaking perks, right?
Yeah, and just I'm quite a stealth-oriented player as well. So, like, for me, seeing the little hidden caution, danger transition is quite common for me. So it's like a very
If you can get the Chinese stealth armor, and which makes you kind of semi-invisible, and you can get your multiplier on sneak attacks and critical hits. So
it's lethal. Yeah.
So it's I swear I've got like some setup where I've got a ×5 sneak attack, and if I'm using a critical as well with a critical multiplier, it's like, yes, that's what I want.
All right, I've got sneaking down.
So they're camping in some ruins, eating what I think is bugs. Boy questions if they're still the good guys again. He also asks if they're ever going to eat people. I kind of like whenever he gets asked questions like this, he is such a dad about it, man, in that he's just like, no, we're not eating people. Next day, Man and Boy arrive at Man's childhood home. Man takes a minute. Oh, please.
No, I was just going to say that the shot of them arriving into that sort of suburban area with all the houses, again, it's just like, it's straight out of Fallout. Like, we've done that in Fallout. You know, you go into the little suburbia that's all abandoned and ruined with an abandoned car there, and you go exploring the houses. That's straight out of Fallout.
Man takes a minute, but Boy feels like he shouldn't be there, so he waits outside on the porch while Man reminisces. He just says, I don't think we should be doing this, which is, I'm not sure what he's referring to.
I kind of got the impression that this is him reflecting his dad's very kind of objective survivalist thing, and that his dad is indulging in something that they don't need to be doing. Like, it's not pertinent to their survival. Instead, it's a risk that they're taking.
I wasn't sure if that was a moral thing where he doesn't feel like this is his home to be rummaging around. Like, it felt
Maybe.
like it was quite intact, so it felt like a home. So I don't know if that was it. I couldn't tell. But Boy is sitting on the porch and spots another boy across the road in another ruined house. He chases the boy, screaming, "Wait!" Man hears this and he runs out and he catches up with him, and he tells him there is no boy. We saw a boy. Boy saw a boy. So is Man just being overprotective? He picks him up. He tells him there's no boy. He carries him away over his shoulder and tries to calm him down. What's your thoughts on this with relation to Boy and his kind of wanting to see other boys and people?
I thought it was it kind of bugged me a little bit, because I just thought, this kid's been in the wasteland for a while. He's grown up in the wasteland. It seemed like such a risky thing to do, to start shouting and chasing after another person, because I would just think trap, like this is just like bait for some kind of raider group or something. So I found it a little bit naive. Obviously, from a child, generally that would be understandable if they were new to the wasteland, but he's grown up in it, so I just thought it was a little bit odd.
Yeah.
But obviously, yeah, from a character point of view, you can understand it as well, that he's yearning for that base connection.
Yeah, I can't remember the words he uses, but he says something along the lines of, I just have to. Like, and I feel like it's something there.
There he is, just like me!
Come on.
No! Oh!
Hey! Stop it! You scared the hell out of me!
No! I need to see him!
Hey! What the hell are you doing?
I need to!
Why?
I just do!
There was a nice little moment that I liked just before that, when his dad's in the house and he turns the sofa cushion around, because everything's covered in dust and debris or whatever, and so but when he turns the cushion around, the underside of it is clean and pristine, and it felt very nostalgic, and like it felt like he was really tapping into a core memory there. It was a very relatable kind of thing, a little reminds of him when everything was normal and he grew up in that house.
It's also a good tip for hiding stains.
Yeah.
So they're heading to the coast. They pass some old shipyards, and they continue a road through the city. Very briefly here, they hide from the rain at night, and they walk when it's dry during the day. Boy is mostly hungry, and Man starts to cough. Probably nothing. They rest in some ruins of a home where there is a skeleton in the bed.
Yes, yeah, there we go. That's I've got that down as a point. That to me is one of the most iconic things for, like, you know, when you're exploring houses, is the skeletons in the bed.
Yeah, it's skeletons in the bed, and then it eventually evolves into the devs having fun with, what about if there's a skeleton in a bath with a toaster? What if there's a skeleton in a bath with a plate and some forks? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
There's one where if you need soap, there's a bath in Fallout 76. There's a bathtub with a skeleton in it outside in a random place, and it's got like 40 bars of soap or something in it. So I think sometimes they're just having fun with skeleton placements. Man finds a piano in the home. He starts to cry. He says, "Your mother played really well." The boy says, "I don't remember." As they leave, they hear a little tap, tap, tap. As they're walking out, they find a fallout shelter in the garden. It is unused. It is stocked up. Boy asks if it's okay to take the food. It rains, so they cover the hatch with a mattress. Things seem to be going good for a day or two. Man's coughing is subtle but continues. Boy sleeps. Man looks through his pockets of small things. In boy's from boy's trousers, he finds keepsakes of woman. Man dreams of woman and is woken by boy, who is a bit miffed that man touched his stuff.
Don't touch my stuff.
Next day, they boil water, take a bath, shave in the house, then the house above the shelter. Later in the evening, man smokes a cigarette like an old pro. Like he hasn't smoked a cigarette for years, but he knows what he's doing. He also coughs. I wonder if this is related. Him having smoked and him now coughing at the end of the world. They hear noises in the night. They think it might be people and dogs. Man freaks out, so they load up a large cart the next day full of food to carry on and continue on the road. What do we think about the shelter?
There's a lot of stuff in here.
I was plowing through that because I was like, I'm going to plow through this so you can talk about it.
Yeah, I was wondering when you were going to stop. There's a lot right there. So there's obviously the concept of the survival Fallout shelter anyway is what the vaults are meant to be. Post-apocalyptic bunker. And then you've got loads of tinned food. You've got a first aid kit.
Yeah, cereal, breakfast cereal.
Yeah, and then my favorite specific one, I will refuse to have this collected together into anything else. It's its own entry, is spam.
Yeah.
AKA
cram. Yeah.
Yes. Which I loved. Yeah. And then even in his I think it's in the boys, some of the stuff that's in his pocket is a bottle cap.
There's a bottle cap in the pocket. I made a note of the bottle cap and of the spam. There's a medikit on the wall, which is like, that's a classic video game. But I don't want to spoil it, I guess, but I got snow globe. Did you remember a snow globe? I don't remember a snow globe in this. Actually, I didn't spot that.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was in the bunker scene, maybe just in the background or something. I'll keep an eye out, and I'll shout out if it's maybe a little later.
Yeah. I also got mattress, classic Fallout debris.
Yeah.
And functional, I guess.
Yes, yeah. I did think mattress as well. Yeah.
So, guess where they are? They are back on the road. They pass Robert Duvall. I'm going to call him Old Man. He's old. He's hurting. Why are you following me? He says, and they're like, everyone's a bit precious, and they're like, I'm not following you. You're following me. That kind of vibe is kind of what they're doing. Boy guilts man into giving him a can of Del Monte fruit cocktail.
Del Monte. Enjoy them, old man. They will be your last.
The old man gobs it down so fast he actually spits up a bit at the end. They ask him, do you want to have dinner with us? And he has a great response. What do I have to do? It gave me... This unlocked something when I was watching this, in that there was 3 references now after this, or this plus 2. It unlocked something which is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia vibes. And that you've watched It's Always Sunny, right? Rickety Cricket.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a point where, if you've never seen it, he's a priest, and then he leaves the church, and then through association with our main characters in It's Always Sunny, his life just gets worse and worse, and he gets depraved. He lives on the streets. He gets
addicted to crack. And,
and there's a point where I'm sure the gang asks him to do something, and he's like, well, what do we do? You know, like he gets real specific about what things cost for him to do things.
We're gonna pay you, bro. We're gonna pay you. There's pay involved. You give a shit about that, Cricket?
You're paying?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Oh, I see. So what, am I gonna get my ass kicked?
That unlocked that, but then it also unlocked in my head Danny DeVito's character just talking about human meat when he tries to convince two of the characters that they've eaten human meat and they might be cannibals.
Yeah.
Human meat. Yeah, okay.
So stupid.
Okay, well,
You're
thank
so
you for
stupid.
the human meat, Frank.
Thank you for our human meat.
No,
it
you're
was
welcome.
delicious.
And I think there might be another one later, which I'll talk about. Which also, again, that when it unlocked that, one other thought from It's Always Sunny came in my head. But I'll talk about it now. Why not? There's an episode where they're trying to speak to M. Night Shyamalan about convincing him to produce their movie, and all they've got so far is that it stars Dolph Lundgren, and he's a cop that can smell crime, right? Do you know the episode?
Yeah.
And then they speak to Dennis, the character Dennis, and he says, well, here's what you're going to do. Here's what's missing. You need a woman in there, a sexual element, and what you're going to do is he's going to go and sniff crime, then he's going to go back to the lab, and he's going to have full penetrative sex in the movie.
All the hits, all the big ones, all the good ones, and then he smells crime again. He's out busting heads. Then he's back to the lab for some more full penetration. He smells crime, back to the lab, full penetration, crime, full penetration, crime, penetration. And this goes on and back and forth for 90 or so minutes until the movie just sort of ends.
And it's kind of the movie here in that it is on the road, avoiding cannibals. On the road, avoiding cannibals. On the road, avoiding cannibals. And it just kind of, I just saw that in my head of like, wow.
Yeah.
That's
definitely right.
That's kind of what it is non-stop. Yikes. Right. So this rickety cricket old man, okay. They have dinner with him, little camp that they make. Man flashes him his pistol just to show him that he's serious.
His pistol?
Yes.
Yeah,
what did you think he flashed?
I don't know what Rickety Cricket would do.
Duval has a moment and he sheds a tear. He never thought he'd see a child again. There's some good, interesting dialogue. Man says to him,
"Do you ever wish you would die?" "No. It's foolish to ask for luxuries in times like these."
I was like, oh, okay, yeah. A nice bit of writing. I guess that's Cormac McCarthy, I guess. So the old man moves on, so does the man and boy. The boy thinks they should have helped him a bit more, and the boy tells man he can't tell who is good or bad anymore, basically. He thinks they should.
I think that's why I mentioned the karma system earlier on, because it's not just like in one conversation. It's almost like the boy is, he's the moral compass, and he is like your karma meter throughout the film, He's just assessing his dad's actions and decisions and judging them accordingly.
It's very Walking Dead, right? In that, in that you kind of have someone trying to do what's right, but then you, with the character Rick, and then he just kind of leans into like, no, I'm just gonna kill everyone.
Funny enough, you say that because there was a few times when I looked at Vigo and thought he looks a little like Rick in The Walking Dead at times. And then I was thinking, oh yeah, this was way before Walking Dead, but actually no, Walking Dead was on the air for so long that this probably was around the same time as the show.
So man and boy hide their cart full of goods and they go scouting. They find a field and they realise it's a field with lots of blood. They hide when they see a woman and child being chased by a gang. There are screams and man and boy rush off to escape. Again, road escaping cannibals. We get an earthquake when they're running away. They're in a forest, so trees are falling all around them. Man and boy take refuge under an already collapsed tree and hide under there so they don't get hit by any more. It's now night. Man is coughing a little bit more as he tucks boy into a little makeshift bed next to a fire. They are hiding in a church. It's the morning. Man coughs up blood. Oh, something's happening. We're back on the road. They are closing in on the sea. Boy asks if it's blue like the map. Well, it used to be, says Man. They arrive at a beach. There's shipwrecks and debris washed ashore. It's nighttime on the beach. Boy froze up and has a fever, so they build a makeshift tent and they try and keep him dry. The next day, Man decides to swim out to a shipwreck to see if he can salvage anything. He leaves Boy, again, who is a bit sick and under the weather, behind with the gun on the beach in a tent. And
this just felt like an incredibly dumb decision.
Yeah. So he leaves it with all their stuff in their cart and all the supplies. Vigo Butt number 2 is seen as he swims off to the shipwreck. So Boy is sick. He doesn't notice that a man just wanders in with a knife. He walks off with their cart and some of Man's clothes. Man returns with a flare gun and a flare. Flare guns and flares. Fallout 4 weapons.
Oh, yeah, I think I've never really even used them to
actually, I think I've only used them for calling... You get help, right? You use
yes,
the flare for
yeah.
that. But then again, they're in. You can use them in Fallout 76, but I'm like, are you calling anyone in 76 or are you using them as a weapon?
I actually forgot about that. I forgot that was the thing.
I mean, it's also the kind of thing that at the end of the world you probably would scrounge up, I guess, a flare gun. Man picks up Boy, throws him over his shoulder, and they chase the thief. They confront him. The thief, with his knife, sees that they've got a gun, and he drops his knife. I feel like also, do you think it's also the boy saying, we can help him, Papa, don't shoot him? Do you think he's also like, oh, okay, we don't need this confrontation, I'll just give you your stuff back? Do you think that's the thief, or...?
As in, do I think that that's what the boy is...
I'm more thinking the thief's motivations, because he's stole their stuff and he's run away. He sees now that it's a man and a boy, a man and his son, and the son is saying, "Don't hurt him." So he has his knife. He could call their bluff, like the gang member earlier, right? But he doesn't. And I'm trying to think: is that the boy? He saw the boy and saw, oh, he's kind of good. These guys are good. I shouldn't steal their stuff. Or do you think he saw the gun?
Yeah, I think I see more the gun.
Okay.
Yeah, and it feels again like a little bit of a Fallout choice moment. I didn't have it down as a point, but yeah, like the sort of decision making around what to do with the thief, who by the way is played by Michael K. Williams, legendary actor who's in a bunch of TV shows. But yeah, that was the main thing I kind of got out of it, was just that like the thief was just genuinely just not a malicious thief and made the decision that he did probably more based on I thought the gun.
Yeah. Okay, so Man is pretty mad right now. He thinks the guy has been following him. He tells the thief to take his clothes off so that they can leave him like they left him, like teaching him a lesson. Boy is protesting the whole time, but they leave him naked anyway. Man tells Boy he won't be around forever, if that is worth anything. I do not know right now. They get down the road, and the boy says they should help the thief. After a moment, they then return to where the thief was, but he's gone. They leave his clothes in a pile and leave him a can of food as well. Or you see Boy leaving the can of food, at the very least. I think it's his kind of options.
Yeah.
So, guess where we are? We're back on the road. I think we are either at an old theme park ruins or a boardwalk. I can't quite tell. Could you?
No, I think more boardwalk I'm just assuming from it being coastal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think maybe a boardwalk. Suddenly they're attacked by somebody with a bow and arrow from a window. Man is caught with an arrow in the leg. The attackers are upstairs somewhere. Man fires the flare through the window, and someone or something is now on fire in that room. He limps up the stairs, finds a dead man who is on fire, and a woman cursing at Man. Man asks, "Why are you following us?" The lady replies, "You are following us." It's kind of a theme of paranoia, right? Everybody thinks they're being followed by somebody.
This did make me also think the bow and arrow. I thought, I'm surprised the bow and arrow is not a more prominent weapon in Fallout, because it's kind of the ideal post-apocalyptic weapon, right? Because the
Yeah.
ammunition is somewhat replenishable.
It's a stealth weapon in 76.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I guess the thing is, I've not played a 76 much, but I assume that in 76 it's basically they just crammed everything into the game because it's an ongoing online game. So they eventually everything ends up in the game. But I was trying to remember if bow and arrow was in New Vegas, but I don't think so. There are projectile weapons, they're like the spears that you can throw, but maybe there's not a bow and arrow. I thought there maybe was.
So, man just kind of leaves. He even leaves the bow and arrow there as well. But they stop in a bar to remove the arrow, which is a pretty gruesome, horrible-looking scene. They continue on their way. They are still on the coastal path now. Man collapses, coughing. They abandon the cart because he cannot pull it anymore. Man sees the beach and remembers being on the beach or a beach with woman. The flashback... I don't see the car, but it's so 1950s. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a man and a woman on the beach in their car, laughing and giggling. Times are simple. You know what I mean? Like it's so idealized.
Would you say it's strong enough for a point?
Let's discuss it as a point. Like the pre-war, it's so pre-war. You know what I mean? That kind of 1950s aesthetic and. Everything is great, you know, that kind of thing. Like, yeah, it kind of had that vibe. I didn't see the car, but I'm imagining it as a large American car. Man now lies down coughing on the beach, struggling. Eventually, we get to the morning, and man has died, or he's dying. He tells Boy to keep going. He tells him, "Don't let anybody take this gun from you." So Boy starts moving, and he meets a man with a gun, who approaches him pretty quickly but cautiously. I think he's got a character name, but we don't hear it. So the man here is Guy Pearce. So I'm just going to call him Guy Pearce.
Dude, I did not recognize him as Guy Pearce.
Yeah, he's got the hair, the fake teeth.
Yeah, I did not. I didn't. Till you just said it, I didn't realize that was Guy Pearce.
He's got the intermittent Australian accent that kind of comes and goes from sentence to sentence. Yeah. He tells Guy Pearce he's not going to let anyone take that pistol from him.
You're one of the good guys?
Yeah, I'm one of the good guys. Why don't you put that pistol away?
I'm not supposed to let anyone take it from me, no matter what.
I don't want your pistol, I just don't want you pointing at me.
He asks Guy Pearce, I'll talk a little bit more about this, but he kind of asks him, he's got the fire burning inside. He says, yes, we do. He mentions we, being like him, Guy, his wife, and his kids. And I think the kids is a thing of like, oh, great, yeah, kids, I need kids. We then see he convinces Boy to join them. He even calls him a little bit weird, I think he says. So we have Guy Pearce, we have wife, 2 kids, even a little dog, and now Boy is joining them. Interesting, the wife here, the woman here, says, we've been following you. We saw you with that man, and we were worried about you. And I think it's interesting how he's been telling Boy he's good the whole time, and then even the people shooting him from the window with the arrow of, it's like, maybe this is a Cormac McCarthy thing, I do not know, but like it's about morality being relative, maybe? Is that kind of the point of this whole movie?
Maybe, yeah.
And what happened is some strangers saw the boy with the man, and they pegged him for being an evil man. Like they were, and it was just like, we got to get that boy away from that guy.
Because if you look at like even just the thief interaction from a different angle, that just looks like he's, mugging the man basically, and like doing it in a gratuitous way as well because he's stripping him naked.
Yeah. If you're watching from, if you only saw that part of the interaction,
and I guess context changes the perception of the actions.
And it's coming to me now of the boy that Boy saw, and he's like, "There's a boy. Is that one of Guy Pearce's boy?" I
was thinking that, yeah.
And is that how long they've been following him since then?
Yeah,
and all they saw was man running out, picking up Boy, and stopping him from doing stuff. Is that all they saw?
Yeah.
But that's the end of the movie. That is avoiding cannibals on the road, avoiding cannibals on the road. Somebody dies, and then Guy Pearce says they need to be off the road. So that's the end of the movie.
The movie, yeah. What did you think of the choice at the end of the boy kind of ending up joining this family?
I don't know. It's funny. Of like he trusts him pretty quick, but it's like you say he's a product of his environment and he should be more savvy. But as we found, not trusting people is what made man perceived evil. Multiple people have saw him and interacted with him, and terrible things have happened to them.
Yeah, I think there is definitely like a. I actually wanted to read the book now because I've heard good things about it, and that it kind of goes a bit more into detail around the morality of things and the nuance of things, and I think there is definitely probably quite a heavy message at the end around the choice that's made, but superficially I'm looking at it and I'm like, dude, like you failed at the first hurdle after your dad died because you just immediately trusted these strangers, and they could, we don't know by the end. It's left ambiguous, like, and I think that is again part of the complexity of what's trying to be shown here is, like you said, there's that angle of how that family is viewing his dad, how his dad's actions can be viewed in different ways, from his son to this random family to the son's choice around whether you see the good in people or whether you're deeply skeptical to the point of self deterioration, or like that they could actually be cannibals themselves, or and that this could be a choice that results in the kid dying. Like there's a lot of like ambiguity and kind of dense complexity around like what the morality and the choices are in the film. It's a very interesting ending.
Shall we try and look at the great score, what we've got so far?
Yeah, let's do it. I was going to maybe just touch on a little bit about cannibalism in Fallout as well, potentially, because it's quite a specific theme to the movie. So I was just kind of run through some of the references to cannibalism within Fallout, if that's all right.
Yeah, please.
So I'm getting a few of these off of the wiki, to be transparent, because I've not played Fallout 2, for example. I've only played chunks of Fallout 1. So you've got in Fallout you've got Doc Morbid, a character who ships human body parts for the production of iguana bits, which made me think that that's because iguana bits turn up later in the games.
Oh wow! I've never thought about that. So iguana bits, not iguana at all.
Yeah, or at least they could. Some of them are iguana bits, and some of them could be human bits.
Well, that's the point. I don't think I've seen an iguana, because like you get squirrel bits, and there's squirrels in some, right? And
yeah.
But iguana bits. Oh wow! Not noticed.
Yeah, I've just kind of reframed all of your actions in Fallout. The main character in Fallout 2 can encounter cannibals when sort of moving around parts of the map. They kind of just appear like raiders, like with various different sort of specific weapon sets. So they're just there as an enemy, basically. Fallout 3, you've got quite a few characters throughout that are cannibals, and then we kind of mentioned it in. Was there a movie with vampires in it? I'm trying to think, or was it cannibals where we? I'd mentioned the. Maybe
there's a guy called Pretty Boy in his gang.
Maybe it was there. Like, so you've got a quest that kind of relates to blood consumption, basically, and there's sort of loose references to cannibalism. You've obviously got the perk through multiple games as well. In New Vegas, there's a few different. There's the White Glove Society in Vegas itself, where they are cannibals. I mentioned Arndale as well. Is it Arndale's the name?
Where was there's some people. There's like a community which could be Arndale, I guess, maybe, but where they are cannibals, and there's like mystery meat or whatever, and you can go and help yourself to the meat, and a guy confronts you, and if you choose to be like, hey, I know what's going on, don't worry, guys,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
His attitude
yeah.
immediately goes,
You know, you're a breath of fresh air. Every time someone discovers our little secret, we have to hear about it. It's always, oh, how can you do this? Or, you're such terrible people. Or, please not me, I have a kid in Rivet City. Well, I have kids too. Family first, that's the way it works in Andale from the day that the first 4 families decided to stay here.
I mean, I kind of like the idea of being judgmental about cannibalism.
Yeah. There's quite a few little tidbits that I've got Andale in Fallout 3 where there's a cannibal house. There's the Beyond the Beef quests in New Vegas, which I think is the White Glove Society quest, if I remember correctly. Fallout 4, you've mainly got some raiders that are alluded to as cannibals and the trappers in Far Harbor. But there's also the perk is a lot more explicit in Fallout from Fallout 4 onwards. I'm guessing it's the same in 76 as well, where you can just be next to your companion, your character kneels down and just starts feasting away at a corpse, and each of the companions sort of react in varying degrees of disgust, or if it's the super mutant, in kind of praise. But yeah, it gets quite explicit at that point. And it looks like in 76 there's a lot of characters and references throughout cannibal related in some respect.
Companions are more like allies in 76 in that they don't really go with your missions or anything.
Okay, right.
They can give you missions. They just stay at your camp, basically.
So yeah, then it's Fallout 4 where your companions react to your cannibalism. So yeah, there's a lot throughout. It's a very heavy theme that's made deliberate light of throughout the game series.
So let's talk great. So genre, what do we have?
So we've got post-apocalyptic survival movie. I think the two things paired together are very specific for me to count as a genre point. We've got the voiceover describing the wasteland. Again, just pairing those two things together, I think makes it strong enough. And then I've got the Beyond the Beef quest in Fallout New Vegas as a very specific reference. This is the White Glove Society quest, and it's as you're in New Vegas, you're kind of assessing the different factions that exist across the wasteland and within New Vegas itself. And so as you dig into this White Glove Society, you come across as this very, posh, well-to-do group of people who, are holed up in a casino. As you start to dig and investigate missing people, etc., you come to discover that they are cannibals. There's a reference to, or not even reference to, like the settings in the kitchen, allude to what we see in the cannibal house in The Road, where you've got the discovery of, in that case, a hatch full of people who have been left there. In this case, you've got strange meat pies and all sorts of strange meat lying around in the freezer. So there's a very specific quest there that kind of touches on the discovery of cannibalism throughout it, which is what you get in the cannibal house in The Road. Sweet. So we've got Beyond the Beef quest, and then a pre-war Fallout 4 sort of suburb sequence at the beginning as well.
I would say that is more world building.
So environment.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because we're thinking back to the environment before, so it's still there. But I would have put that in environment myself, just because it's not. You kind of get the idea of post-apocalyptic. It's part of the post-apocalyptic, right? There's before the apocalypse and after the apocalypse. So
that makes sense.
That part. I'm not 100% on the voiceovers, but I just mainly because it kind of occurs throughout, right? He is telling you what's happening and how he's feeling and what he's thinking throughout the whole movie.
So I think one thing I was thinking as well is that we've previously kind of gone through everything and left debatable ones in and then go back. unless it's really debatable.
I'm
I'd rather kill it now, just because I don't want to falsely like lower scores or whatever based on perceptions I've had. So I would say I would agree on actually. I think it's probably not strong enough in this film for it to be included as a point. So we've got 2 points in genre, which feels surprising, but that's fine. All right, and then some stuff might move over anyway. So we've got under random specifics, we've got cannibalism. Specifically, now that I'd cover under like, we include gameplay mechanics and perks under random specifics. Yeah. So I think whether you include that as like the cannibal perk or
even part of
mechanism of
karma and other things, cannibalism is something that is I think part of that definitely.
Yeah, scavenging. I think so. We've got scavenging gas station here. We've mentioned Red Rocket and environment later on. I think scavenging definitely has to be in here. Yeah. Or I think it's worthwhile because it's just it's a prominent thing throughout the film. It's a very prominent part of Fallout. Then we've got setting up camps like Fallout 4 and 76. Shall I just go through them and then we can kind of
go for it.
Yeah, survival mode, karma system. Cannibal House discovery like Andel in Fallout 3. I think that's quite specific. Skeletons in the bed. Using a map for navigation. So I hadn't mentioned this, but that's fairly common throughout the film where they keep whipping out the map and they're using that as the navigation point.
Yeah.
And then we've got sneaking, and we've got the pre-war car scene where it seems like kind of everything's lovely, everything's 50s Americana kind of look and feel. So we've got way over the 6, so we will have to kill some anyway. Are there any that start jumping out to you as like particularly weak ones that you could
Well, I think pre-war car can also go into what we said about environment for the pre-war suburb sequence.
Sweet.
I think
okay. So we'll
those I think can be combined into one.
Into one.
I like the idea of sneaking. Using a map. Yeah, you use it, I guess, in Fallout. Skeleton in the bed is it's such a good thing there.
One thing I was just going to ask actually from a process thing is like if we're over because we're hitting the 6 on a few of these, is that something where we have to cull it down to 6, or the points cap out at 6 and we can keep stuff in there that's strong enough?
We can cap out at 6, but we can keep going over. So if we have 10, fine. we have 6. If we have 5, we have 5. Sweet.
Okay, cool.
I think cannibalism anyway and Cannibal House I think are kind of maybe you're right, it's very specific. So maybe we can keep Cannibal House like the idea of it's not just cannibalism, there's a whole house there.
Yeah.
Karma system, good guys and bad guys. Ooh, yeah, that is kind of is a gameplay mechanic that you are conscious of, and the boy is constantly bringing up. Survival mode, I think, is absolutely on the money because that's exactly what this game is. They're always complaining about, complaining, like it's a bad thing about being hungry and stuff. Setting up camp. I think setting up camp. I am going to say no because it has a function in this movie that you don't have in the game, right? So, like they are basically setting up camp to hide and to rest, and you don't necessarily need that in the game unless you're playing survival mode. So I would have put that setting up camp into survival mode. Like it serves something different there. But other than that, I think the cannibalism, the scavenging, survival mode, karma, Cannibal House, skeleton in bed, map navigation, and the sneaking. Yeah, I think they're all part. I would say they're all very strong points there. So that is actually a 1, 2. No, there's actually 8, but we're capping out at 6.
Amazing. I think that's the first.
Yeah, I don't think we normally go over. Okay, environment. What do we have?
So we've got destroyed trees, like in Fallout 4, very specific aesthetic, but environment. Yeah. set in West Virginia, like Fallout 76. I thought that was quite a noteworthy little quirk. I had skulls in the boot and trunk. That happens kind of early-ish in the film. It's just very brief. They open up a boot and there's a skull there. Abandoned cars on the roads and highways. Suburb exploration. The sea setting reminded me of Far Harbor in Fallout 4. We've got the Red Rocket gas station, the Super Duper Mart, the overpass, and like we said, the pre-war sequences between the cars and the suburbs, etc. Anything that we're looking at merging needs to go elsewhere.
I think Super Duper Mart and Red Rocket can be one, in that they are just things that you pass and scavenge. So they're very similar, but I think there's not a lot of difference between the two of them, especially if you're playing the game. It's just another thing to look at. They just look the same, so to speak. The suburb exploration is very specific. Suburb. Yeah, it's Sanctuary, right? Especially in Fallout 4.
Yeah, I think sea setting in looking like Far Harbor is very vague. It's just the fact that they both happen to take place at sea, and there's not a lot of like water sort of locations in Fallout. I mean, there's like little lakes in here and there, but they're not so prominently looking like the coastal sequences that we get in this film. But I think it's too generic. It doesn't relate to Far Harbor very specifically.
Well, you're saying Far Harbor, but then there's like in Fallout 4, there's a lot of this where there is a like an island that you can go to that's just part of the main game. I can't remember where it is. There's also like maybe it's a water treatment plant or something that's near a Poseidon energy area that you can go and you can use them as a settlement. But nearby there is an is it upturned? No, it's not upturned. There's an abandoned, not abandoned. There's people living there. There's an old shipwreck, and it's interesting because it's the one where it's completely occupied by ghouls who are raider ghouls, and I don't know what language they speak. They're speaking like Dutch or something, but it's just this weird thing of they're the only characters in the game that aren't speaking English. And when you go there, so it's like the idea is that they've been there for.
I don't even remember.
It's really interesting. But when I saw the shipwreck that he's going to, I thought of that ship, and I was just like, oh, that was such a fun, unique. Like, I don't think there's even a mission attached to it, right? Necessarily, like it's just this gang of raiders that are on a ship that I think is implying the ship crashed in the US, and they are not American. So they've just been there hundreds of years, and they're still speaking Dutch or whatever it is.
Is that in Fallout 4?
Fallout 4, yeah.
Interesting. Okay, maybe I'm due a replay of Fallout 4, which has been a while. Okay, so I guess we can maybe keep it and just modify it to the sea and shipwreck setting.
Yeah, I'd keep it.
Yeah.
Destroyed trees, I'm not getting that much myself, but
yeah, it's very general. It does. For me, I associate the destroyed trees with Fallout 4 quite a lot, but it's very vague. It's not super strong.
Okay.
I would definitely get rid of skulls in the boot. I think that's a very quick sequence. It's not, oops, cross that out. Would you agree?
Yeah, let's get rid. I think.
Yeah. All right, so destroyed trees out or in?
I'd say out. I'd say for that one, okay. I don't think it's quite strong enough.
I'm not willing to fight it. Abandoned cars on roads and highways, I think that's strong.
Yeah.
Does that relate to Overpass at all? Like, does that get combined?
I'd throw it in with Overpass because you're getting cars, you're getting the trucks, you're getting everything on Overpass.
Okay, I think that everything. Suburb exploration. It's I guess not the exploration element because that then moves it out of environment. I guess it's more just the suburb.
It's that they are ruins, right? They're ruins, but they're intact, and it's the going through them, but they are there. So I think it's part of the world building that it's there and they're abandoned.
Yeah. Okay, so that leaves us with
that's 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow.
6 on the money. There we go. So let's go aesthetics. There's a few.
There's a lot here, and I think there's going to be an interesting question here because previously we have combined stuff.
But I know you want to keep the spam/cram.
There's definitely ones in here where they're very. It's not just like a collection of different items. It is like very specific items that exist throughout here. So anyway, we'll go through this. So it's visual style is like Fallout 3. I had City Ruins, Grey Wasteland. We've got the revolver.
Is it specific enough, the revolver?
I think in the film it's specific enough in terms of like it's a very prominent feature in the film.
Can you tell me what it would be in the game? Which revolver?
Well, so from what I was looking into, the revolvers is like a category of weapon. Not in Fallout, it's not registered as a category, but it's like so. There's the .44, but the .32. Those are both revolvers. I don't know what this one is in the film, but it would be. I'd imagine it'd be one of those.
I mean, we can say weapons as well in terms of like when we have the gang on the coming off the truck, they have whatever they don't have like police grade weapons. They have a hunting rifle, right?
Yeah.
It is scavenged or whatever you happen to have and what you were keeping. So I could say the revolver and the weapons that they have. They are very Fallout in that. Well, until you get to the absurd energy weapons and stuff, it is yes. Those are the early level weapons that you have.
Yeah. So we've got vending machine, binoculars, tinned food, first aid kit, spam/cram, bottle cap, snow globe, and then pre-war items in general, which I think may have been in reference to the stuff in his pocket.
Maybe the stuff in his pocket, specifically the bottle cap. I think because it's. I think what you have here is that you have items, but then you have like icon level, right? Or iconic rather level like items. So the cram, the bottle cap, yes.
Should we move cram alongside tinned food? Like just say tinned food including cram.
Yeah,
I would say, maybe.
I mean, we can also do pre-war food, right? Because you have there's boxes of cereal there as well, right? And yes, there's tinned food. And I think they have soup. There's like bottled water, like they have smart water or something. That was what was stashed.
Actually, I'm going to go against what I just said. I think I would still keep cram separate.
I'm happy to keep the cram separate. Yeah. I think the bottle cap, as much as I like it, it's such a nothing in this.
Yeah.
Like it. So, it was. I'd say no to the bottle cap, and similar with I don't recall the snow globe, so I would leave you to make that decision.
It's definitely in there. And snow globes are a very prominent item in New Vegas, so I think I would lean towards keeping it.
First aid kit, I think I mentioned, and I was a bit throwaway of like, yes, but they didn't open it up, and there wasn't a stim pack in it, so I'm happy to lose first aid kit. I think at this point.
Visual style being like Fallout 3, I don't know if that really fits into aesthetic. Is that more? Should that be more environment? And do you think it's strong enough?
Well, I think you were going on like the color of it almost, right? Like it's so grey.
Is that aesthetic? Sounds and visuals, I guess.
Well, yes and no, because also there's points where they're in a forest and it's very brown. And then they're also at night camping, and then the world is on fire and it's, glowing orange.
Yeah.
So, yes, but it's not 100% consistent.
Have we got... one thing I've realised, we don't have wasteland in here, right?
No, we don't. It is a wasteland. I think we assume the wasteland is a desert, right? But it's not. You got the capital wasteland, right?
Yeah.
So
so wasteland should really go in environment. I think, because I think that would cover it. That's kind of like, so that gets added into environment to no avail because we're already capped out at 6 anyway, and then removed from here.
Don't be politicking the score, man. Coca-Cola vending machine. I would say. I'm gonna take it out. It's. I think the Coca-Cola is pre-war food. And it's also it's a can. It's not a bottle.
Great. All right. So then we move into tribes.
What's the score for aesthetic?
Oh, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 again.
6 again. Gosh. Okay. So tribes. So the people, tribes, places.
We only have cannibals in here right now, and I don't know if there's anything else. Is there anything else?
We don't. So we said that it's not the boy's not a companion. There's a dog at the end, but it's not a companion. We don't. There are there are cannibals, but like you say, there aren't. Let me put it this way: what is the behavior in one of the Fallout game when you have cannibals, and what is the behavior of a raider? They're different, right? They could be cannibalistic raiders, but generally speaking, raiders are out on the prowl. So I feel like the gang and then the cannibal home, I think, are two different things. I think they are raiders and they are cannibals, two things. They happen to be the same. So I think we have the gang as raiders, I think, is additional for the tribes.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Cool.
So
anything
that's
else?
Two. I think that's the two of them, right?
All right. So
2 points. So we've got genre is 2, random events 6, environment 6, aesthetic 6, tribe 2. So currently that's 22 points.
Wow.
Any debuffs?
Yeah, I think so. I've got it in as some of the example debuffs that I had sort of in our list, which was functioning vehicles in the post-apocalypse, too chatty of a protagonist, and then finally I had too gritty and serious. And I think that's where I would give it a debuff on that, because I think tonally it's so un-Fallout, like, given the fact that it's a post-apocalyptic wasteland type movie.
Yeah.
I think Fallout has become a little flanderized, where, you know, nowadays it's too jokey and sort of self-aware and kind of cartoonish almost. Its origins in Fallout 1 and 2 were more gritty, but not this gritty. There's always a sense of humor in Fallout, which this doesn't have at all.
No, I think you're right there. So tonally, way off. Yeah. So 1 for tone, debuff for tone. Anything else?
No, I didn't have anything else. Do you have anything?
No, I think that's it. Serious tone is okay. Is it? I'm okay with there being cars in it, because there's only one functioning car, so it's not a huge thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that gives us a total of 21.
Wow.
Which puts it high. 22 is Escape from New York, which is the highest ranking one so far, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
That's the bar. Great.
So, what do we think about this as... We know what we think about this as a Fallout movie. It's a contender. But what do we think about this as a non-Fallout movie?
I think it's... I like the film. I think it's good. It's a sort of dark meditation on morality and the sort of will to survive. I think it does a good job of that. It's a little bit... I don't want to say not boring, but there's a little bit of a unusual narrative to it that makes it not so engrossing. And I think the characters just don't, you know, and part of it is it's inherent, right? They're called man, boy, woman. Like, the characters don't feel like characters. They feel like, and again, this thematically is on point, right? And thematically, the idea is that being in that kind of hardcore survival world, you don't have a personality anymore. You're not you anymore. You're just this kind of sack of organs that's like either to be eaten or to use to survive in some way. That's it. So thematically, it all kind of like technically makes sense. I think it just doesn't have that kind of emotional impact. So it all feels a little bit hollow. So I think I've got it down as...
So if it's Letterboxd score out of 5.
Yeah, it's a Letterboxd score out of 5. I've got it as a 3.5.
3.5.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was at times like I was watching it and I was thinking like, wow, 20, like you said 25 million, and I'm thinking now like they get a lot out of it. Like it looks great. Like there's scenes where like there's just wildfires in the night, and I'm like, wow, this is incredible. They wouldn't make it this way anymore, this type of thing. And I was very impressed with it. But you're right, it is at times it's a slog, and I don't think that's necessarily just an emotional slog because they're having a tough time. I think it gets a little repetitive and it's a little slow, but and it is somehow an allegory of morals, right? And it being what is good, what is bad, who is right, who is wrong, whatever, and is it relative? And that kind of bothered me a bit. And every time boy Cody Smith-McPhee says "Papa, Papa," it bothered the life out of me. But I think that was the character. It's like there's sidetrack here. There's I sometimes watch like Italian horror, and there was a few where the same child was hired, and it's a little blonde boy, I can't remember his name, and he was in multiple horror movies, and I couldn't tell if this was the boy doing the dub. I doubt it, because I swear he was an Italian boy, because it's Italian horror, and they do a dub in American. And it sounded like a woman was doing the voice, and she hated the child.
And did she say anything to you?
Yep, she said that I shouldn't go over there. Why did she say that, Mommy?
Well, I don't know, Bobby.
Yeah.
So whenever he'd go, what's going on over there? And it was like the person dubbing the voice thought the child was an idiot.
Yeah.
And I was getting that with this boy, even though it was his own voice. It was just
I know what you mean. I think there's something about that kind of relates to what I'm talking about with the lack of impact, because there's something about him calling him Papa. It just feels very like of a different time. And then it just feels like I can't relate to this character in a weird way, in a subtle kind of indirect way. There's something a bit like almost uncanny valley about it a little.
But again, like I think it's leaning too much into the thin veil of allegory of something, and it's just like we want to get names. He's going to be so innocent and just being Papa, Papa, do what's good. Yeah. And so like that kind of bothered me, but I did appreciate the movie in other ways as well. So I'm going to go 3 out of 5 for myself.
Nice, yeah. Cool. So we've got a 3 and a 3.5 out of 5 in terms of how we think about the film generally.
You've got a question.
I do have a question. How would you mod Fallout to incorporate the road? It's a little difficult because it's very Fallout in a lot of ways. So it's kind of like a lot of the stuff is already in there. But in what way would you mod? It could be a perk, it could be a quest, it could be a weapon, anything.
I'm missing a small part of this, but in my mind, it is basically unsurvivable mode. Which is exactly this, which is you have a mission. Maybe it's an escort mission to get somebody from X to Y. But you are going to die. So you have to do it before you die of whatever it is, whatever this disease is. But as you progress, you do get weaker, you get capped, things are harder. You could be full of water and full of food, but your strength is lower because it's just at that point in the game where your strength is no longer high. So I think it's like unsurvivable mode where it's a ticking time bomb to get somebody from X to Y. It doesn't have to be a single mission. Like it could be a mission where there's lots of things, but ultimately you have to make the decision before you die. You have to get to this point across the map before you die. To achieve it, and it's unsurvivable mode, so there's no saves, and it's like old-fashioned video arcade games where if you make it a certain way and then you die because you didn't get there before you finish the mission, you just got to start again.
So you know what you're just describing, by the way, is Fallout 1 and 2.
Really?
Yeah. So I think I struggled to get into Fallout 1 a little bit because I kept failing at it, and it was like a bit of
because I know one of them was like there's the water chip.
Yeah,
right?
that's the first one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I've started to view the game differently now. I was previously viewing it like I did with subsequent games, where you're playing as a specific character, you care about that character and how you play it as that. Whereas instead, you have to kind of view it as, no, this is a generic vault dweller. You're doing a run. This is your run to try and get the not the platinum chip, sorry, the water chip, and help your vault survive. And if you die, and you go again. Really.
Yeah.
Like, and there are saves, and like you can actually play it more like a regular Fallout game, but it's got a lot of that to it. I think that's how I've reconfigured the games in my head to kind of get into them more. Funnily enough, my mod kind of relates similarly to your unsurvivable mode option, but it's more geared towards a specific DLC. So I would have it as in a new location, but the new location is very small. It's not like a whole exploration based. There is a little bit of exploration, but it would be a long road that you have to get from point A to point B and escort a child or escort someone across it. And exactly that is that you have to do that DLC in one go, and it is trying to survive from end to end, and there are a bunch of different dangers, including cannibals, etc. And kind of, like your unsurvivable mode, where it's that particular expansion would be hyper difficult, and it would have to be, you have to do it in one run, and each time you fail you start again, and you can do a little bit of exploration, but the goal is just to get to the end. But we're going to make getting to that end laid
incredibly
with
difficult.
with all sorts of traps and factions, and so they kind of dovetail into each other.
I think that's the inspiration is give up or not, right? I guess that's also a theme of the film as well. Do you want to give up or not? Should we talk about what we're watching next?
Yeah, let's do it. Let me know. It's your choice this time, isn't it?
It's my choice. So I was thinking, after watching this, need a palate cleanser, I think.
Yeah.
So do we go fun? Do we go stupid? I'm not sure. So the movie I've chosen next, it's 1995's Tank Girl.
Okay. This feels like in my head another one that's going to be difficult to find. Is it difficult to find?
It is streaming on multiple places.
Okay.
Renting, streaming, MGM Plus or Amazon Channel. You can buy, you can rent. It's on the Apple TV store.
Right. Not as hard to find as She.
Quite accessible, yes. So it is starring Laurie Petty, Naomi Watts, Malcolm McDowell, and Ice-T.
Oh, wow. All right.
After a comet disrupts the rain cycle of Earth, the planet has become a desolate, barren desert by the year 2033. With resources scarce, Kesley, head of the powerful and evil Water and Power Corporation, the de facto government, has taken control of the water supply. Unwilling to cower under Kesley's tyrannical rule, a pair of outlaws known as Tank Girl and Jet Girl rise up, joining the mysterious rebel Rippers to destroy the corrupt system.
Wow.
So that's the expectation of, I guess, desert land, wasteland, corrupt some sort of government, and I guess we've got Tank Girl and Jet Girl, some sort of co-op there. So that's what we're coming to expect. Have you watched it before?
I haven't. No. I'm assuming you have.
I have.
Seems in your wheelhouse. No, I'm looking forward to it. I think I was a bit worried about choosing The Road because I just wasn't sure how much of a departure it would be and like whether there'd actually be anything specific in there. Turns out there's a shit ton. So I'm glad that it worked out in having loads of pieces into it. But then I also like this flitting between genres and tones. So I'm looking forward to a shift in tone. I'm imagining silliness, but
I think silliness. Yes.
Great. All right. So that's been how Fallout is The Road. Apparently, quite.
Yeah.
And that's been this episode. Thank you very much for listening. I've been LJ, and I've been here with Ricky.
I can say my name.
Okay. Say.
Ricky.
Lovely.
See you next time.
See you around. Bye.